Good evening guys and welcome to the Amnesia Game Talk. In case this is your first Game Talk and you're confused as to what this video actually is, I highly suggest you guys watch the Limbo Game Talk, which I also have on the channel, where I explain what kind of video this is, what structure it follows, even though that tends to shift from video to video, and what you can expect. But for those of you who already know, let's talk about Amnesia. It's a first-person horror game developed by Frictional Games and released on September 8th, 2010. Aside from being the go-to horror experience for all Let's Players, it became a sort of quintessential horror game, and it established a formula which many other games tried to replicate or build on in the future. I think it's time to revisit the scary adventure from 2010 to see if it's still as good as it used to be back then. Let me start this off by talking about the story, and right off the bat, I just want to congratulate the developers. If the goal was to make an unclear and often illogical story, then good goddamn job, because you nailed it right on the head. We play as Daniel, who wakes up in Castle Brenneberg, sorry for mispronouncing that, after passing out from drinking an unknown substance. After following a liquid trail left behind by said substance, Daniel finds a letter he wrote to himself before drinking what turns out to be an amnesia potion. In this letter, he explains to himself that he, quote-unquote, chooses to forget, and urges Daniel to go into the innermost chamber of the castle and kill someone named Alexander. It is about at this point when the story starts to fall apart, but let's get to that later. Daniel also includes a warning in the letter about something called a shadow, and how it cannot be fought, leaving future Daniel only with the option to run, hide, or die. Following this, we go on a long, dangerous, and scary adventure, slowly uncovering what happened in the castle and what we need to do to defeat Alexander. Now, I'm not gonna go into too much detail here because most of the game's story just revolves around Daniel not knowing what the fuck is going on and the player not being much better off, but Jesus Christ, does it sometimes not make sense at all. Like, for example, from the very beginning, why did Daniel actually drink the amnesia potion? I mean, he says it's because of the horrors he witnessed and he wants to forget them, but that doesn't make any sense. You're choosing to forget the horrors so that you can go into the new horrors fresh? Why not just do it all and then drink the amnesia potion to have it all done with? Or does he have the amnesia potion stacked somewhere for every time he goes through something scary? It just doesn't make any sense. Oh, and also, he decided he was gonna defeat Alexander way earlier. He used to work with him in the inner sanctum. So you're telling me that he decided to go all the way to the other side of castle to drink the freaking amnesia potion, so that he has to walk all the way back through the path which he knows is going to be blocked by that time by the shadow. It's just stupid. And don't even get me started on the puzzles. Rarely do you get to see such crappy design as in this game when it comes to puzzles. Where nothing is explained to you and you have to just randomly listen to sounds that valves make when you turn them. I mean, how would you even know this? Or find a small area above a table where there's just no way you would see it. At least I didn't. Or find a freaking key in a pipe by flushing the pipe with water, but it's never explained in any way. Just bad. Eventually you also learn of other characters and meet with one. However, none of them are particularly interesting, and you will not really care about them at all. Well, at least I didn't. Now, it's not all bad here, okay? The game does have moments where I was intrigued and keen to learn more about the world and what is actually happening. The game also does a great job at pacing the scary and relaxing parts so that you always get a safe moment to breathe out between intense chase sequences or jump scares. The beginning parts are some of the best horror game levels I have ever played. Tense, you don't know what the monster looks like and you expect him to jump out at you from behind every corner. The scares are subtle, but good enough so that they keep the players on the edge of their seats for the entire first half of the game. That's where the game goes from great to what I would call average at best. Let's talk about gameplay now. Here, the game isn't as innovative as could seem. Other games have done it before and used the useless protagonist who can only run away and cower in fear instead of grabbing a weapon and actually trying to defend himself, but admittedly, this works well here. Just like everything else, however, first half is awesome, second one not so much. In the beginning you hear a monster, run away scared shitless, then refuse to leave your hiding spot for about 20 minutes, and slowly creep your way out, and then continue. And that's fun, but only about the first 5 times you have to do that. After that, you have the formula down pretty well, and it's basically the same thing over and over again. Furthermore, the game abandons any tension because it literally rams monsters down your throat as you go on. What the area called prison has, no joke, like 8 or 9 monsters in it. One area. Come on, game. Once you realize you can outrun most of the monsters, it goes something like this. You hear the growl announcing that the monster has entered the area. You run to a spot you picked previously when entering said area. You wait for dramatic music to stop, rinse and repeat. That's it. Now I can't fully blame the game here, as without the second part it would only be about 3 hours long. However, I still think it's important to mention this, as the repetitive trap is something many horror games fall into these days. And when it comes to visuals and atmosphere, this game is amazing. Even though the game is fairly old, it looks good and in some areas, particularly the nave and the second large hall, like the second large open area, it looks great, it looks amazing. The enemy models are disgusting and scary, and the first and the 5th time you see them. And I really like the shadow consuming the place in the form of the pink goo. It very much does help add to the idea that the place is slowly deteriorating as the player progresses through the game. On the other hand though, I am not a big fan of the sanity effects the game has. Like seriously, when Daniel's vision goes all blurry and trippy, it just makes the experience more annoying than impressive. Oh, and also, someone told me that standing in the light is apparently supposed to help cure sanity. Oh wait, the game told me that. But once you lose your sanity to the point where it's just 3 dots, you can be standing in the light for 3, 5, even 10 minutes and not see any effect. It just seems like some light works and some doesn't. Like your best option then is just to try and complete a quest and restore your sanity that way. Okay, to wrap it up, is Amnesia a good game? I have to say yes, 100% for me. It's not the greatest horror game that I've ever played, but I can definitely see what a huge impact it had in the industry and why so many people consider it something like the Half-Life 2 of horror games, right? It's a really amazing game, and I highly recommend you guys play it. If you don't mind a somewhat or mediocre story, horrible puzzles that are possibly gonna require you to Google stuff, and somewhat repetitive gameplay in the second half, this game is fantastic. First half is amazing. Second half also has some very good parts, especially the core, in my opinion, when you're walking through the torture chambers, is amazing, and it's scary as all hell. And that's exactly where this game is at its best. So guys, I hope this video told you a little bit about how I feel about the game. This was just my opinion. Doesn't matter, it's right, and it's very likely that your opinion may differ. Maybe you hate the game, maybe you absolutely love it, but make sure to leave it in the comments. Also, if I left something out that you feel like you'd want to discuss, make sure to leave that in the comments as well, and we can talk about it later. For now, I thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to check back in for more, and I'll make sure to do more. For now, I wish you a beautiful rest of this evening, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye.